A major problem that America faced, though, during the war was the deficit. The war cost $330 billion, bringing America's debt from $42 billion to $269 billion. This led to the creation of war bonds. War bonds were similar to the creation of rationing, but what they wanted to do is prevent inflation also, but also basically they're like loans for the government. They were first called defense bonds, but after Pearl Harbor they were called war bonds. And living in the United States with a median income during World War II meant earning about $2,000 a year. Despite the war's hardship, 134 million Americans were asked to purchase war bonds to help fund the war. Stamps could also be purchased, and they started at 10 cents each to save towards the bond. The War Finance Committee was in charge of supervising the sale of the bonds, and the council promoted voluntary compliance with buying bonds. So basically, the bonds were just like loans to the American government to help pay for the war at the time. You can see a war propaganda poster here that says, "Don't let that shadow touch them, buy war bonds." Here are some more war propaganda posters created for war bonds. All these war bond posters were meant to reach out to the general public. People could connect to all these posters based on if they had family in the war, or if you look at some of these, there's one that says attack, buy war bombs. Then there was also care is costly, buy war bonds and stamps. Even a little can help a lot. War bonds were also a form of economic control, which was an idea of FDR to help prevent inflation. First created was the Office of Price Administration. Their job was to create minimum prices for goods and also minimum wages to help prevent inflation. There was also rationing that was created, which was like coupon books that were given out to citizens. Here you can see a propaganda poster that says, "Do with less so they'll have enough." And there are also rationing coupons on the right. And basically what they were like coupons that you needed to buy stuff, because during World War II you couldn't just walk into a shop and buy as much sugar or butter or meat as you wanted to, or you couldn't like fill up your car with gasoline whenever you wanted to. All these things were rationed, which meant that you were only allowed to buy a small amount, even if you could afford more. And the government introduced rationing because certain things were short supply during the war, and it was the only way to make sure that everything was fair. And even if you did have more money, you still had the same amount of coupons as average citizens. But along with these coupons that were created, the black market was created for rationing coupons. Just like any other things, like with the prohibition of alcohol and drugs, a black market was created. Here are some posters. On the far left, you'll see rationing means a fair share for all of us. It advertises without rationing, it's unfair. And then with rationing, they have a full stocked counter, and people seem to be happy. In the middle, you'll see ration coins that were used to give back as change. Below that is an average supermarket and what it would look like when you were purchasing your groceries. It wouldn't be done by price, but yet by how many coupons you needed or what kind of coupons. Above that, you read a sign that says ration, sugar, tea, and coffee. And next to that is a war ration book. Lastly, the media created morale for the war to help create support. There were posters that were created. The U.S. actually produced more propaganda posters than any other country fighting in World War II, but it didn't have the same impact as radio and films. There were also comic books and cartoons that were created. They were mostly advertised to children and showed European leaders as evil or bad characters. Next was film. There was Frank Capra's Why We Fight film. It was originally a documentary series that was used as an orientation film for new recruits. And in the film was a prelude to war, the Nazi strike from the invasion of Poland, Divide to Conquer, the Battle of Britain, the Battle of Russia, the Battle of China, and War Comes to America, covering subsequent events. At Roosevelt's urging, it was also released to theaters, and in Britain Churchill, they ordered an entire sequence to be shown to the public. There were also stars that entertained troops. If you see to the right, there's a picture of Hollywood Canteen Picnic, and basically it was just Hollywood stars that interacted with troops to help boost morale and help get them excited for the war effort. Without the support on the home front, we may have not won World War II.